It's time to take the entire dash out of this C5 Corvette and replace its heating and air conditioning blend door motors. Our C5s use two of these little blend door actuators to move the flaps that are inside the vent system, and that controls whether or not the air is coming hot from the heater core or cool from anywhere else. If one or both of yours are broken, you will likely notice that by turning these little hot-cold knobs, that it makes no difference on the temperature of the air coming out of the vents. And then if you scan your C5 with your AutoFix D1 light, you will likely see codes like these. Unfortunately, this is becoming more and more of a common problem with our aging C5s because there's a little plastic gear inside of the actuator that shrinks as it gets older and it cracks. And when this happens, the little motor inside can still turn the metal center hub, but it won't be turning the gear anymore. I'm not gonna lie, this is a fairly involved project, but it's not super difficult as long as you're in pretty good physical condition, you're fairly flexible, and you have average or above mechanical abilities. The reason you need to be physically fit and flexible is because the actuator on the driver's side takes quite a bit of positioning on the passenger side, the driver's side, getting your arms in there in whatever way you need to bend your arms to be able to get a socket on the two little screws that hold the actuator in place. Now, depending on how long your arms are, how big your mitts are, and how flexible you are, everybody might take a slightly different approach to getting those two screws off. Tools needed for this job are a 1/4-inch drive socket set, including a hand driver and a ratchet, a Torx bit driver set, and a flat blade screwdriver, and preferably a plastic trim removal tool. Let's get started with removing this dash. And step one on the convertibles is to open this little hatch here and remove the waterfall. It has 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and one more on the bottom of the passenger side, just like that one right there. That's going to allow us ultimately to lift this console up, and we just need to slide it back in order to get this out. Step 1, remove the two 10mm nuts inside the center console. Step 2, remove the active handling panel simply by popping it off, and then remove the little grill next to the ignition key the same way. Here's the little cover that snaps in here. You can see it just has these little clips. So to remove it, you just pop it out. And here's the active handling panel, and this just snaps in place as well with these little clips. So you can see they're just spring-loaded. So this just pops out. And then of course you disconnect the plug from the socket. And don't forget there is a screw behind this little ashtray deal, so make sure you get this one too. And so with these 3 screws removed, 1, 2, 3, and actually 2 more, those are nuts, 4, with the center compartment slid back, now we can pull this off. And it helps to have the shifter here kind of in a neutral position. On the back side of this for the power port, you can see that plug, and this comes off by spreading these out, so you just kind of need to, with your finger, open them up or stick a little screwdriver in there to open this up to get it off. The lower kick panel under the driver's side and the steering wheel, it has a couple of screws, one there, one there. You got to plug in the sensor. Here's where the trunk deck release goes. From this side of the dash, below the steering wheel, we have one simple plug to remove. Looks like that. And then there's a screw that goes right in there. And the switch itself has another one of these common spring-loaded clips. So essentially you just pry it straight out. There's 2 little Torx bit screws down here you got to get. And then it basically just has more of those push pins, so you got to grab it carefully and tug it out. Radio comes out pretty easy. 1 screw here, 1 screw there. It might take a little tug to get it unseated because it is locked in with these pins. The radio just came out, and it's got this plug here, and you just have to push up on that little lever there. This plug here, it's the same thing. Got that little lever. Same thing on this one. These are all basically the same types of plug release. Don't forget the antenna, and that's all it takes to unplug the radio. Next, remove the two 7mm screws that secure the HVAC display to the dash. The HVAC display module, one plug in the back. We have two that go in from the cluster up into the dash, and they are little torque screws, so those come out next. To get the glove box off, you got to remove these plugs from the bottom of the glove box door and take out those 10mm screws. And then the switch here has this little plug that has to come out. This one is broken, you can see, and the light bulb's already been removed previously. But I wanted to show, because this clip, when you're underneath there, is kind of hard to get out. And I just want to show you what that clip looks like so you know what has to be done. At least this is on the 98 model. This has to be depressed with a small screwdriver. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that are 7mm that need to come out, and you can remove the glove box. And I almost forgot, the glove box does have a little tang that comes up underneath here and goes underneath the screw. So this screw would have to come out too. Here's what the glove box door looks like out. There's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 screws that are 7mm across here. And the two bigger ones with these plugs removed, you can see, those are 10mm, and they go through those holes, and then you can put the plugs back in. This grill just pries out of the dash carefully with a thin screwdriver. You can see those little nubbins on each side, and the same thing corresponds inside the hole. So I'm just going to twist, I think that's like the heat sun gain sensor. I'll twist that into this, and then I'm going to pop it into place. To remove these panels on the pillars, there's just 3 clips, like one here, and one down here that I'll show you in a second. And then there's one little plastic push pin that you need to take out right here. There's no screws, so what you want to do is, using a suitable tool, something like this, you want to get underneath here, and essentially you're just pulling this thing off. And it helps to pull where the metal clips are, rather than kind of in the middle of them, to minimize the chance of breaking this plastic. The pillar interior panel, believe it or not, doesn't have any screws. It just has these holes that you can see. And what goes inside there are these metal spring-loaded clips. And then at the end, there's one little pin that's going to secure that. It's a little plastic plug. So basically all you're doing to get this thing off is prying it carefully, and it kind of helps to know where the clips are, because you want to pry in the vicinity of the clip as opposed to like in the middle here or in the middle here, to reduce the risk of cracking the plastic. And removal of the driver's side pillar is exactly the same way. There are 8 screws that hold the dash in place. Here they are in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and if I can get it on the end here, 8. Now the dash is completely unbolted and it's ready to slide out. And once I start sliding it out, I can actually remove this plug from the hazard switch, which also is the relay essentially for the turn signals, believe it or not. So to remove the hazard switch connector, lift the dash up a little bit and then pull it towards you about 6 inches or so. Now we have much better access to remove the white plug. And the little tab that needs to be depressed is on the driver's side. And I want to show how that clip comes out. Sometimes it's not obvious when you're taking it out, but you got to depress this little nubbin right here. So you kind of have to do it blindly, just one little tab. Now with an assistant, the dash can carefully be removed and set somewhere where it will not be damaged. And this is what the C5 looks like with the dash panel removed. Getting to this part is not terribly difficult if you take your time. The gauge cluster stays in place, which is nice. Here we have the vacant bays where the radio and HVAC controls used to be. There's one of the vacuum diaphragms and, of course, the airbag assembly. And below it, here's the bay where the glove box resides. Let's do a flyover looking down at the components of the dash from through the window here. And the first thing we have is a tube that carries air to the side window to defrost it. Of course, we've got the gauge cluster right here. As we move a little further, we've got a vacuum actuated door right down there. You can't really see it too well, but I'll show you it from the other angle here in a second. But one of the electrical blend door motors is right down there. We've got the defroster main vent right here. And that, I think, is the temperature sensor. Don't quote me on that one. Here's a door that opens up right here to vent through the main vent above the radio. That plug right there is for the hazard switch. We've got another vacuum operated door right there. And you can't see it because I've got it out, but that's where the passenger side electrical blend door motor is. This device, of course, is your airbag assembly. And we have a tube that goes to the side to defrost the side window. Here is the knob that controls the driver's side blend door motor, and here is the knob that controls the passenger side motor, which you can see better from down here. I removed both of the actuators, and as you can clearly see, both of them have failed. For the two replacement actuators, the owner already purchased an AC Delco part for one of them, and the second one we purchased was this Dorman part from Napa. I can't tell you which one will last longer, but Lyle at CNS has had good luck with the Dormans.
The only one that's going to fit is most likely going to be a Dorman, and I've had very little problem with them. They're very reliable.
I'm about to install the new actuator on the passenger side. See how that hole there is kind of, it's shaped right there. We want to make sure that the little actuator down there matches as well. If not, we need to rotate this before we slide this on. I can't really show you it while I'm doing it, but I'm going to go ahead and install this now, and then I'll show you how to get the screws on. Okay, for the bottom screw, you can get at it right through here, nice and easy. Don't over tighten it because you'll crack the plastic. And for the top screw, you can get at it right through here. For the actuator on the driver's side, I'm not going to lie, it's very difficult. You've got to be very flexible, try to get from the passenger side, try to get from the driver's side. I had a hand coming in from the bottom to hold a wrench on there, and just be patient and keep at it. I did remove that black filter that's right in the middle there, and I did pull off this tube right here to get it out of the way, and that gave me a little bit more room. But stay at it, try different things, and you will get it sooner or later. I believe those are 5.5 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken, for the 2 bolts that hold each actuator to the HVAC unit. We do have one problem though. The vacuum operated doors are not working. Those control this top deal right here, and I'm going to look at it on the scan tool. It's this mode button, so when I hit this to change the mode, it should be changing the doors, and these vacuum operated diaphragms should be moving, but they're not. I'm going to hit the mode button again, and every time I hit it, it's definitely being received from the control unit, but nothing is happening to the vacuum operated doors. So I'm going to go ahead and see if we're even getting vacuum from the back of the intake manifold, and that's a common problem on these cars. Okay, I've got the vacuum line that goes to the back of the intake manifold and goes down to the vacuum canister, and then I've just got this hooked up to a vacuum gauge to make sure it's got vacuum, and it does. I've seen this before where the original plastic vacuum line underneath the battery disintegrates and plastic shards end up clogging the small port on the back of the intake manifold. So I provided a new vacuum line from the brake booster line, which comes from a large port on the back of the intake, and this one should offer plenty of vacuum signal to the HVAC system, and it does. Now let's test the vacuum doors on both sides to make sure they operate, and it's crystal clear that they do. Next, even if you aren't the instruction reading type, you should follow the instructions to make sure the new blend door actuator motors we installed self-calibrate correctly. Step 1, with the ignition switch on, clear all diagnostic trouble codes that will clear and not immediately reset. If you are not sure how to clear the codes on a C5, check out the video in your upper right-hand corner. Step 2, turn the ignition switch off. Step 3, install the new actuators, or in my case, since I already bolted them in, simply connect the C5's wiring plug to the new actuators. Step 4, connect the HVAC display, which is also the module. That's on. Step 5, remove the HVAC fuse under the passenger side floor panel for 20 seconds. Step 6, go ahead and reinstall that same HVAC fuse. Step 7, go ahead and start the C5 and let the HVAC system do its thing and calibrate for at least a minute. And Step 8, redelete all HVAC diagnostic trouble codes, and after operating the HVAC controls, make sure that none of them come back. Now it's time to test both blend door actuators and visually confirm that each side works. And fortunately, they do. The hard part is now done. Simply reassemble everything in the reverse order you removed it, and don't forget to connect that hazard switch plug before you start bolting the dash to the chassis. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you learned anything, go ahead and tap that thumbs up below. If you come here often, you might as well subscribe so you get notifications for the next video. And most of all, thanks for watching.